All right, so this video is all about buying new homes in the city of Menifee, California. There's definitely some really great deals to be had right now. We're gonna go over what the builder doesn't tell you and what I think are some really important things to know if you are considering a new home. Let's go ahead and get into it. Hey guys, hey again, my name is Justin Short. I'm a realtor and team leader with the Short Real Estate team here at Keller Williams in Temecula, and this video is all about buying a new construction home here in the city of Menifee. There's a ton of options that are out there, there's a ton of incentives, and especially if you've never purchased a new construction home, I think there's some really important things that you should know before you decide to purchase one. So I'm gonna get to all the information. Before I do, if you are liking real estate videos like this, please do me a favor, please hit like, please hit subscribe to the channel. Obviously, it helps me, it helps my channel as we try to continue to grow it. And then if you guys have any specific real estate questions, of course, I'd love to hear from you. So you're gonna see my information either down below or at the end of the video. You can feel free to reach out anytime. You can call, you can text, you can email me. Happy to answer any questions you may have, help point you in the right direction, or of course, if I can help you out with your home search, love to do that as well. But we're going to get into the video here and kind of start talking about some new construction in the city of Menifee. So I think this will be really helpful if you are looking at new construction, because the city of Menifee is really one of the leaders as far as having the most available new builds in the area. So anytime if I'm working with a client and they are specific and they want new construction, right now your best bets are going to be the city of Menifee or the city of Winchester. There are a couple others, there are still a couple, in Temecula, there's a couple in Murrieta. There are also a lot in Lake Elsinore, but Menifee and Winchester definitely have the most options. So I took a look right now. I found a total of 7 communities that are out there and a total of 45 different homes that are currently for sale. So, and I think there's even a couple more that weren't pulling up for me. I think it's closer to 9 different communities that are out there, and they have sub communities as well. So there's a lot of options, and even with those 44 homes, that's just what's posted for sale right now in the MLS. I know there's a lot of inventory that's constantly coming from new build, new builders, and they're just constantly popping up. So because there is so many communities and they have so much inventory, the market on a new build today is so much different than it was a couple years ago. So, say 2 or 3 years ago, if you went to go buy a new construction home, you're probably going to have to put your name on the list. You're probably going to have to wait a month, 60 days, 90 days. Sometimes I waited actually personally like 6 months to get my name called off of a list, and that's just not the case anymore. Now they have a standing inventory. A lot of them are going to have standing inventory, so homes that are move-in ready right now, so homes that you can move into within 30 days, or they have another 5 or 6 different lots that you can pick from that'll be ready to move in anytime in the next 60 to 90 days. So there's a lot of availability in new construction right now, and with the builders, when they're buying this plot of land, they're subdividing and they're trying to sell these 500 different homes. They know as the market has slowed down a little bit, they still have a lot of them have another 100, 200, 300 homes to sell, and so they're trying to offer a lot of incentive because they need to start getting these homes sold. They don't want them sitting, and they all need to sell. So we are seeing more incentives now than I've ever seen on new construction in the last 10 years for sure. Really across the board, it's a very, very easy rule of thumb to know that all builders are going to cover your closing costs, like escrow fees, title fees, all that type of stuff. It would be very uncommon for a new construction home to not cover your closing costs. So that's kind of like your Annie just going in. That's kind of it's a bare minimum, but on top of that, there's a lot of other incentives that are out there. So I pulled 3 up. So this is just 3 different communities. I mentioned there's quite a bit more than that, and each community is going to have something similar, or if not more incentive, depending what's out there. So number 1, the first one that I pulled up, so it's in Menifee. It's the River Rock Village. These are detached condos that are being built by Richmond American. So right now they're having homes that are, so they're condos technically, but they're detached. So which means you have your own private yard. You are not attached, you are detached from your neighbor, so you're not touching. They're just typically going to be smaller lots, usually not super huge, maybe 3,500 square feet, 4,000 square foot lot, but you do have a little yard space, usually more than a patio, and kind of a lot of people think of them as townhomes, but they are typically considered detached condos. So those are going to start right about 530,000. So they can go up from there, depending on lot and model and size and all that type of stuff. But right now, the incentives they're offering, I think, are really great. So they're offering an interest rate down to 3.75%. That is a temporary rate, so it's an adjustable rate mortgage, if you guys are familiar with that. So it is on a 30-year loan, but that interest rate, that 3.75, is only good for 5 years. So they consider that, it's called a 5/1 adjustable rate mortgage. So basically for the first 5 years, your interest rate is locked in at that 3.75, and then from there, once a year, your interest rate can adjust to whatever the market rate is. But that is still a really good incentive, because right now, like if you're going to go buy your typical home with, say, a conventional loan, your mortgage interest rate is probably going to be about 6%, maybe 6.25%. So you're getting a really good incentive at the 3.75, although that is only good for 5 years. The idea being, in the future, ideally, hopefully, you can refinance into a better rate as something that's locked in and fixed for 30 years. But they are offering that really great rate for the first 5 years on the adjustable. And then in addition to that, different lots are going to have more price incentive and savings. So most of the ones that I saw when I got information on are anywhere between $10,000 to $50,000 in price savings. So whether that's going to be upgrades that they're giving credits for, whether it's going to be just true discounts, whether it's going to be lot premiums that they're giving credits for, there's a lot of incentive that's there. So the interest rate buy down, and between $10,000 to $50,000 in price savings. And then so we'll go over the next community. So it's community number 2 is Arbor at Cimarron Ridge. This is by Del Webb. And then right now they are also offering a rate buy down. So again, you have your interest rates covered, you have your closing costs covered, and then you're also having an interest rate buy down. So they're doing a 3.99, and they call it a 7/6 arm. So what that means is your interest rate for the next 7 years is at the 3.99, but that 6 means it can adjust every 6 months. So 7 years locked in, and then after that, every 6 months, the rate can adjust to whatever the market rate is at that time. So there's pros and cons to that. Ideally, the less often it adjusts, it's more beneficial for you as the buyer, but you are locked in for those 7 years. So that gives you a long time to hopefully be able to refinance into a 30-year fixed rate, because that's really going to be the best solution. So usually what I'd recommend to my clients is the goal is you want to get to a 30-year fixed rate. If you can't do it up front because the incentive's too great, like this, or maybe just you're a little more risk tolerant, I guess, the goal is to be able to refinance to a fixed rate 30-year mortgage at sometime hopefully as soon as possible would really be the goal. So for those, that's really the only incentive that they're offering right now is the buy down, but or the lower adjustable rate. But it is a really good rate that they're offering, and then those homes are starting at 520,000 and up from there. I think they have a little bit of inventory, so it's probably could be a situation where you can go in, make an offer. That it is something that a lot of people don't realize is just because a new build has a list price, especially in a slowing market like this, that doesn't mean that you can't go in and offer less. So definitely, many a times have I had my clients go in, we offer a lower price, be able to get it accepted, and be able to get the builder to accept a lower price than what they are advertising, just like a new car or something like that. All right, so community number 3 that we're going to talk about is the Banner Park community by Pulte. This community has been being built for a really long time now, so they're kind of towards the end of their build out. But again, they are offering a rate buy down, same exact thing as the last one. So they're offering a 3.99% adjustable rate mortgage on that 7/6 term. So again, you're locked in for 7 years, and then every 6 months after that, it could adjust. Those are true single family homes, so definitely higher price point. Right now they have starting pricing starting about $667,000. So that's kind of where that's coming in. And again, because they're getting towards the end of their build out, they want to get finished up. I think it's something you could probably get a little more incentive if you are ready to go and ready to move forward on something as well. So those are the types of incentives that are pretty much across there, out there across the board. So closing costs covered, rate buy downs, and then really some price incentives on different communities will have more, and different lots are going to have more, right? Depending if the house is already built or if it's just getting released. But there is a lot of incentive out there. And then the other thing that I wanted to mention to you guys is that if you are buying a new construction home, there are some things that you should know, especially if you've never purchased a new construction home before. So let's go ahead and get into those. All right, so when you are looking at new construction, there's always going to be pros and cons, right? And there's a lot of good things about buying new homes. I myself personally and my family, we have purchased 2 different new homes over the last, I guess, 5 years or so now. So I think a lot of times when I'm talking with clients, they ask me like, oh, do you not like new homes? Do you think they're a bad idea? And that's not the case. I think they can be a good idea for the right person in the right situation, but there's a lot of fine print and a lot of things that people don't necessarily think about, and a lot of hidden costs that you really should consider to make sure that buying a new home is the right fit for you. So the pros, I think those are easy to see for most people, but when you walk into a new home, you walk into the model, they're beautiful, they're new, they're what's in style. So right now, most people want that big great room, that big open concept layout, no walls, so where you have the kitchen, the family room, the dining rooms all combined. It's what you see in HGTV, it's what's in the magazines, etc. So that is a big plus, right? When you go to new construction, you're going to get what's in style now, what most people want. So that's a big thing. Number 2, you also get to pick out all the finishes, right? So I would say 95% of the time in new construction home, you're going to be able to go in, pick the cabinets that you want, the color you want, the style you want, the trim on them that you want. You could pick the countertops that you like. You could pick the sink that you like, the appliances. I remember going and they had like 5 different toilets to choose from, and so like you can get as picky as you want. Different builders have different rules with some of that, but in general, you could pick a lot of the finishes, and you get a lot of say in kind of how things are. How things look, and that's usually not the case in a resale home, to where whatever's there is there. Whatever the previous owner put in, whatever they liked and they bought or they paid for, their budget was, that's what's going to be there. So there are some pros with new construction, and then the third big one is just the fact that nobody's ever lived there, right? It's brand new. No one's ever been there. No one's ever taken a shower there. No one's ever used anything. It's all just brand new. They're all new appliances. It's all squeaky clean. No one's ever made a stain on the counter or anything like that. That is a big pro for people, but that doesn't mean new construction is going to be necessarily perfect for everybody. So there definitely are some cons. All right, so cons. So there definitely are some cons to buying a new home, and really what I would consider them to all be is really just extra costs, and costs that most people don't think when they are buying a new construction home. So number 1, most people don't realize that when you buy a new construction home, the backyard is completely bare. It's a big piece of dirt. You get like a little pad of concrete that's probably 2 feet by 2 feet, just a little square, just something for you to stand on. But other than that, it's pure dirt. So especially if you're buying a single family home and you have a good sized lot, it's expensive nowadays to hire contractors, hire landscapers, hardscapers. If you're gonna want to do especially a pool or anything super crazy like that, like it's all just super expensive. I would tell you like an average size lot, so say something that's about 7,000 square feet or so, kind of your average size backyard, the average cost to hardscape and landscape that, if you're gonna hire a company, is gonna be between $20,000 to $50,000. And we're not talking about anything fancy. We're talking about some concrete, some grass, a couple shrubs in the corner, and that's about it, right? So the contractor is just so expensive nowadays. It is way more than it used to be. So that's a big ticket item that a lot of people don't think about when they're buying a new construction home, is the cost to develop the backyard. And while the home does come with a front yard, so usually it's some type of like a drought tolerant setup, if you want anything fancy or to swap it or put some turf in or anything, there's some really big costs there as well. So that's something to think about. Number two are window coverings. So when you buy a new home, I would say 95% of the time, they do not come with any type of window covering. So they're bare windows. It's just, it's drywall and glass in the middle. So it means you're going to have to go down and buy some blinds. If you want, shutters, those are pretty expensive. You can do that. Any type of window coverings, you're going to have to put in yourself. So those could cost anywhere from, $1,500 on the low end up to $10,000 for, high-end shutters, just kind of depending, what it is that you like. Number three is paint. So the builder does give you a coat of paint on the walls inside, but I can tell you from experience, it is very, very thin, flat paint. Especially if you have kids like I do, the paint does not last at all. It's very, very low quality. If you've ever lived with flat paint before, especially with kids, anytime they're walking down the halls and they're dragging their fingers, right? They're leaving food, black marks and food marks everywhere. Anyway, because it's flat, it does not wipe up. So it's definitely a pain to take care of. So most people are going to have to turn around and paint their home relatively quickly, put some type of eggshell or whatever their preference is to make it something that's easier to clean. But just because that flat paint is so thin and it's just one coat, it's just very, very low quality. And then number four are a lot of the different details that most homes are going to have that do cost quite a bit more than most people think. So, if you like some of the fancier features like, having some type of built-in cabinets or, floating shelves or barn door or feature wall, in the primary bedroom, anything like that, all that stuff costs money, and when you're starting with nothing, you just have plain white drywall, it definitely can add up. It's $500 here, $1,000 there. You do that 10 times over, right? It's a lot of money. So those are definitely things to keep in mind. Number five would be the higher property taxes. So new construction homes tend to have higher property taxes in the form of the special assessments. So for example, you might have two homes, say they're both 600,000. That older home might have a lower tax rate, right about 1.2%, and that new home might have a higher tax rate, about 2.2%, right? And that 1% difference is a big deal when you're looking at 600,000. It could be up to an extra $6,000 each year. That's $500 a month in extra property tax, just because it's new versus the old one, and that's really the difference, right? So even though you're just looking at prices, you have to factor in that extra property tax for that extra cost, and that's something you're going to pay each and every month, right? And that a lot of times I've had clients where they can't qualify if they're getting a mortgage, they can't qualify for that more expensive home or that $600,000 home with that higher interest rate because that monthly payment is so much higher because of the higher taxes. And then the last one, and this is something I actually forget to mention quite a bit in a lot of these videos because it's newer over the last few years, but all new construction homes now must come with solar. That's a California state law. But what the fine print is when you're looking at those sales price, or we talked about the $530,000 home, that home does not come with solar. So in order to purchase it, you must either lease a solar system or pay cash for, or you can finance it in your mortgage, that solar system. So that solar system could cost, if you're going to pay for it directly, that might be $15,000, $20,000 for the solar system. I think it's pretty typical, I would say between 12 to 20,000. That you're going to have to pay for, or if you decide to lease it, you can do that, and they'll pitch it as as a cost savings as opposed to your Edison bill. But you're still taking that on. If you ever sell your home, someone's got to assume the lease. If you can do that, there's definitely some challenges there, and some costs that a lot of people they don't think about. So because that is now a law that you have to have solar. So. Anyways, I hope those are things that help as far as costs go, and some things to think about, and maybe just kind of open some eyes about what how it actually works, and some things that you will have to take care of if you do purchase a new construction home. And then the last thing to talk about is your real estate agents. This is a conversation I have with clients quite a bit, but if you want your real estate agent to help you with the purchase, that typically can happen. I would say probably 95-99% of the time. So I can help clients, and I do help clients buy new construction homes. Typically, in order for that to happen, the agent it's very important, we must go with you on your first visit to the new construction community. So we would make an appointment, we'd go down there, we'd be with you, we must help you sign in. And if we are not there on your first visit to help you sign in, we are probably not going to be able to be a part of the transaction. So they are typically very strict. Some communities might waiver a little bit, but that is a very, very constant rule, for across the board is that if your agent is not with you, they're not going to let you be a part of the transaction. So that is important. So if you want me or your agent to help you, you got to make sure they come with you that first time. But typically, if we do come with you, the builder will pay our company's fee. So that is important to know. It's not like it's an extra cost or anything like that for you, but we just have to be there with you when you go to register the first time around. But in a lot of times, what we're doing, what I'm doing, if I'm helping clients buy a new construction home, we're helping negotiate the incentives, right? We're helping, price-wise, rate-wise, closing cost-wise, other upgrades or, I guess upgrade credits and things like that you can use in the design center. All those things your agent is there to help you with, and they can definitely assist you throughout that process. But we gotta be there with you the first time around. So anyways, I hope that's good information for you guys. If you have questions, feel free to reach out. You can call, you can text, you can email, and hopefully talk to you soon. Thanks.